Happy Wednesday, guys. I hope you're ready for some science, and if you're not, well, get in the mood because we're already here. So I wanted to, bring it all back together because I know we've been talking a lot about bacteria and viruses, and I want to make sure you guys remember what the important thing is about all of it. And that's why we're talking about evolution, and specifically one of the mechanisms for it, which is natural selection. So the reasons why we started talking about bacteria was because normally it takes a while to see natural selection take place, but bacteria allows us to see it quickly or quicker because of things like antibiotic resistance. So basically, natural selection is allowing favorable traits to be passed down. And that's what we see with bacteria and antibiotic resistance, is that I could have a bacteria within my body and I could take an antibiotic, and if it doesn't kill off all of the bacteria, then that bacteria is going to keep flourishing and living within my body, and it'll keep passing on those traits. That's essentially what happens with natural selection. And now the reason why I wanted to talk about viruses was, one, it is really big on what's going on around the world today, but also because it helps us see mutations. And that's where we're going to be moving along to, our mutations and genetic variation. And I know that we're kind of already familiar with that term because of meiosis, not mitosis. Remember, meiosis, me, and that has to do with my chromosomes. But I want to expand more about that. So today's assignment is going to focus on that, is how we all have genetic variation. We're all very different. So for today's assignment, what I want you guys to do is just look at yourself and look at certain traits that you have. So one of my not so favorite traits is that I have a widow's peak. It's actually not that common, but it's one of those genetic inheritance that I got from my parents, well, specifically my dad. But then also look at other things, like I have dark hair, both of my parents have dark hair. I have brown eyes, both of my parents have brown eyes. My mom's not necessarily the tallest, so I'm not that tall. I want you guys to pinpoint certain things about yourself that you think you inherited. And you can look at that by just looking at yourself, or if you want to, you could also just look at your parents and see what traits you got from them. Look at your siblings, look at what things that you guys have in common to see what you guys think is dominant and what you guys think is recessive. And don't worry too much about those words right now because we're going to talk about it more tomorrow. But for today's activity, all I want you to do is jot down some of those things that you see within yourself that you know were passed down from a parent. And then when you're all done, just go ahead and take a picture of it, or you can make it a document and just upload it to Google Classroom. Or, all honesty, I'd prefer a video of you talking about it because that way we can communicate a little bit more than just writing, but it's up to you. So you have those two options. You can create a Google document with those traits, or you can upload a video talking about it. And quite frankly, the video would be easier, so opt for the video. But make sure you finish it by the end of today so that we can move on to tomorrow's activity. And please email me if you have any questions.